In 1974, David Wilkerson with Youth Crusades wrote a book called The Vision concerning some visions that he had about the end times. And on page 93, he talks about moving into the age of Aquarius and moving out of the age of Aquarius, and how Jesus warned about the Great Tribulation coming, such that we've never seen before in history. He says, "Don't let anyone fool you. Many will come claiming to be the Messiah." And we have to remember Job. Job was completely disgusted with himself, with the visions and the thoughts he had about the people around him and how they were acting. But let us remember the good news that Jesus taught us. I don't know much about the subject, but the dream I had this morning has me a little disturbed. It was about a battle cruiser, and the admiral was having anchor problems, and they were packing food into coffins.
Quick as we stepped off the luxury airline, Putin escorted us into the compound. We were so excited to give him his new pair of shoes. He walked over to his shoes and touched them in awe, and he turned around and left. At that moment, we knew he abandoned us. After being abandoned by the man who refused his new shoes, we discovered a laboratory on the deserted island. We heard screaming, and we turned and ran. We saw the Sea of the Dead coming towards us. The back step was an old plank attached to the dilapidated trailer. The air was heavy and dense that day. Her head began to buzz as she could hear the military personnel, tanks, and the men's feet stamp in unison. As a few weeks ago, I had a dream about double-tongued individuals. It was quite graphic. What got me was it was someone I knew. I was in a dead sleep. There were no noises. Nothing was going on. But I woke up shook. I was completely shook. Because the individual that I saw was someone I knew. And they had a giant demonic look on their face and a huge double tongue. Well, jumping forward a few days after the dream, the individual that I had dreamt about turned around and started screaming at me, calling me all kinds of names and profanities. I haven't seen him since. 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had a dream. Once again, in a deep sleep, nothing was going on. Everything seemed fine. Peacefully dreaming, but then abruptly woken up by a very disturbing dream. It had to do with my neighbor. Well, I guess the neighbor was hungry because the Domino's pizza man had come and visited the neighbor's house, brought their dinner. Everything seemed fine. However, into the dream, I could see my neighbor staring at the ground, shuffling her feet. With a blank stare, she grabbed what looked like pizza that had been petrified. The pizza was rotten. It was days old. And she wasn't really eating the pizza. She wasn't really walking like a normal person. But she got up from her chair, staring at the ground, shuffling with her arms to her sides, with a blankness and no emotions. She grabbed her rotten piece of pizza and sort of mouthed it, but didn't eat it, didn't bite it. And she flopped herself back down in her chair and didn't consume the pizza. Being ready is all we can do. Being prepared. Be prepared, because when we least expect it, things will change. And quickly. The roads were steep and dangerous. The small cars were doing much better than the large trucks on the highway, which would spin out of control and mostly all of them would crash. However, the drivers were in sync. There were 2 small cars. Each of them had 2-way radios with an open channel so they could communicate. And they screamed at each other as the smoke rose from under the ground. And they knew that as they reached the summit of each mountain, that there was another treacherous valley to behold. It was a roller coaster ride. As the runner crested the hill, she could hear the whirring and roaring of military helicopters. They shouldn't be this far in. This is a rural area. What's going on here? She realized she was having a vision.